What is human? We discuss a lot about this here. Is it our ability to draw, ability to invent, to care, to love? I want to take one word, consciousness. Consciousness to the world. Since the beginning of humanity, humans try to dialogue with the universe, what they were having around them, and always try to dialogue with different means. In the cave, it was very symbolic because the mystery of the world was so big. They needed definitely to find a way to get their hands around the world. Then they moved to the imitation. Imitation lasts for long. Let's imitate the world. God did the world, so we humans will have to imitate what God did. Then we had the Renaissance. We had the revolution in mind, where man's just discovered he may be God by doing the world. We end up with series, production, industries, replication of the many things that artifact that the man were doing. But something happened. We discussed that earlier. We are no more in the production world. We are now in the world of simulation. Our world today have nothing to do with the nature we are coming from. Our world today is an artificial world, a world made of our own artifacts. There are no more nature to be seen. Everybody was saying we should not do human-centered design because we should be just earth-centered design. Actually, it's even broader than that because we're part of that design since the beginning. Earth is us. So, considering this, now we are looking at this, I would say, tremendous acceleration in this process of not only imitate, produce, simulate the world, we are getting now to actually produce ourselves. We are in the process now of developing another human. So if we are talking about humanizing design, that is a human, that is something we have produced. Think about this question. We are made of data. We are made of robots. So people may say that there will be a disappearance of the human. It may happen if human doesn't understand they are designing themselves as we speak. So the big question here is not about whatever designing the world, designing humans. It's about reflecting what is really happening. What is really happening is we always face things. Even experiences are coming from the services that were coming from the product. No, there is something broader in that question that we should not miss, is the complexus of the relationship that is basically the inner tissue of our living. To the top of that, everybody is talking about post-human, transhumanisms, data that may transform us. We also have a very vague representation of what we may become. This ambiguity is basically creating such a highest level of perplexity. I think we need to understand it may be a great opportunity by focusing on the right things, the inner pattern of nature. This is what man does. Whatever you produce, whatever you do, whatever you imagine you may, basically from an intent, designed for human beings, this is what they do with. We never use things done by someone else because we need that relationship, and that relationship only comes from the way we interact with the world, with the things, with what is around us. And considering that there are only one thing that makes us human, is our burning desires to own our own destiny, our capacity to be completely emancipated of any desire to actually get something done from us, to the world that is actually us. I worked at Dassault Systems. Dassault Systems is a company that was founded in 2081, right at the beginning of the huge transformation called the digital turn. It was expressed earlier by other presentation. We also have a tagline. We believe that if we give the possibility to the people that currently are willing to change the world and design a better world, they need the means to make it happen. So it's not about just like putting the method and the thinking in place that is by itself a huge effort. It's how we can take technologies and capacities of our age and make things happen with a design intent in mind. Dassault Systems have just one promise: harmonizing product, nature, and life. Because the harmony is not something that is outside and separate of us in nature. We are the orchestrator of whatever is this harmony. Within Dassault Systems, we have the ability to actually make another world, a virtual world, a model that actually gives you access virtually to what the world may be. Imagine this weapon in the wrong hands. It's very important to understand that if we started as a model with the level of knowledge that we can encapsulate today, this capacity and this knowledge are growing at a very fast pace. So what about giving those capacity to designers? What designer will do with a matter that will not be made of wood and earth or fabric, but digital? Frank Gehry wanted to do something that nobody have done it before. I know Setano was there just earlier, yesterday. Frank Gehry wanted to design curved building. Curved building, why? I mean, basically, because he was thinking he was getting closer to a human being's shape and also way to experience a building. The only way to do that was to actually use a software known for its extreme capacity to design in extreme complexity. This was really the starting point of the company. In a way, we were providing to designers the ability to make their dream possible. He basically have led to an incredible revolution in architecture, when today architects could and may consider a realm of possibilities that have been still, as today, untouched. I put the Eiffel Tower here, not because I'm French coming from Paris, but also because what virtual means and virtual worlds with very intensive capacity of resolving complex problems in virtual, it's also this ability to actually travel space and travel time. It's quite interesting because we talk about sustainability, but what about knowing from a journey to the past what may be our future? Just think about this idea. Another aspect of what the technology are capable of delivering today is our extreme capacity, I would say, to basically simulate almost everything on the physical world. Does it make us in the capability to imagine or resolve issues of future? No. Scientists will say yes, because they believe on truth from mathematics. I say no, but yet, If those technologies will be available, like designing to a molecular level, or being able to actually design anything to at any scales, multi-physics design, and place it into our very important sustainable goals, what this will mean, what kind of designers we will need to actually seize those opportunities. So everybody is saying we are no more designing product, but experiences. Our platform, the 3D experience platform, is actually delivering two main capacities. One is developing product, so your design intent may be translating in a way that you can represent it. This is what you know today, but it's much more, because we can engage socially on a platform, anyone who wants to work together, collaborate together, but also gather information to a level that is never being done, because we're talking big data, structure, algorithm, something that is really following the pattern of assembly that designers can foresee. And virtual plus real, V plus R, is really how you play that complexity and make it as a dynamic model representation for making the change. Big change, because if there is something that we can learn from the Bauhaus 100 years and in a recurrent way in the design history, is we are on a time we need to do a total work, not just piece and bite of it. We need to find a way where all of the discipline of design, with the means of technology, may give a total work offer. Designing the world starts by basic design thinking approach. We in the design studio have fostered just all of the methodology that for most of you are using, but with this single belief, by leveraging those technology, we may go beyond the scenarios. We may address complexity of the chaos that we were discussing earlier and make it actually as a level of representation that may change the world. The studio is actually doing two things. We definitely are looking at leveraging virtual universe to actually virtual prototyping the world on any of its complexity, but is also a research lab. Why? Because there are no means. This is difficult, you know, hacking technology, reassembly those technology for a purpose of design is by itself a research. Let me just introduce what we are doing for trying to make at the end of the designers, any designer, student, their capacity to actually access very quickly to technology and people.
My name is Alice, and I'm a project manager. I'm faced with a new challenge: design a super light foldable chair. What sprung to my mind was an origami chair. That's why my first mock-up was made out of paper. In order to get my project started on 3D Dream, I've gathered my ideas, my inspirations, and the visuals. I need additional skills to support me, and I've moved the project forward. I assemble a team with contacts from my company, from my social network. From our back and forth iterations, ideas are converging towards the first concept. At this stage, we absolutely need a model to simulate the chair. With 3D Dream, I send a request to a specialist to do so. Very quickly, the 3D expert comes up with a model that perfectly illustrates our initial direction.
So what we want to do is definitely give the complexity of our solutions to the end of any designers willing to address a super complex project. Patrick Join is a very good friend of mine. He came up with this crazy idea to do the latest chair, 3D printed in at least one shot, super light and folding. Such a program, not enough. So we decided to take these challenges very seriously, leveraging generative design. And This is what we came up with.
D'inventer, de créer, de pousser, elle est toujours là. Je pense que c'est la base pour un designer, c'est de chercher, grâce à ces nouveaux outils, des nouvelles formes, le fait de pouvoir dessiner des choses qui n'étaient pas fabricables. On est à la limite de compréhension de la matière et d'embarquer une grande complexité.
So what was really important is a lot of people are talking about design and artificial intelligence, like, again, nature and man or world. They are not such things. Artificial intelligence, wherever it is, and I'm not going to try to explain, it's another agent of dialogue, another level of conversation designers will be basically having. And they have to learn to talk with such intelligence. And that's what we want to offer, is the capacity and the dialogue and the grammar for designers to actually address this complexity and keep the libre arbitre, the decision. So designing for impact, this model is very well known for most designers. But if we are just addressing complexity to its level of a single chair, but with all the level of complexity of what may be a sustainable design, what about taking the complexity at large? It means complex systems, like city systems. We have created a model. This is coming from our research lab. This model is what may be, on a virtual world, the right experience. What are the boundaries of an experience that we may redefine in the virtual reality? We see basically 4 main pillars: actions, fictions, or we can say fiction, actions. And on the other spectrum, you need to have a climate, an atmosphere that actually deliver all your emotional condition for it. And again, you also need imaginaries, things that are coming from your mind, coming from your culture, and all of those dimensions is what make a world, faire monde in French. So creating worlds requires this traditional design thinking, yet it may basically lead to the question, how do we feel emotion? How do we make decisions in a dynamic way as we do in real life when we are in the virtual life? If you create those virtual worlds, how you make decisions on the same means you do on the physical level? So this is, I'm not going to go far on this one, but we are starting on research for now 5-6 years, try to figure out what may be the connection between the physical and the digital. And this is going to be very important. Most people see cities as the top-down view of urban planning, gathering all the information, all the layers of stakeholders. Well, how do we going to make a visible representation, visible and dynamic representation of the city when we know we have all those digital capacity and make it genuine to a design intent, but even more to the intent of citizens, where designers are actually just the medium. How we bridge urban planning from government to citizen bottom-up usage of the city. So we have this capacity already being embedded into our tools. It's basically the capacity to have a model that dynamically gather the information and the data to actually play dynamically for decision. This is something already completely capable. So what we need to imagine is how do we basically bridge that with day-to-day citizen expression. What you can see here on the right is an experiment we did with the city of Paris, where we're trying to bridge what citizens would like to do in their little quarter by leveraging some digital interactive tools and place it into a 3-dimensional referential of the city. This is actually happening. We are doing this in the Singapore city, and we also are doing it here in India, and the first smart city that will be allowing that a counter between design intent, wherever it's about mobility, living, dwelling, may be actually happening within the virtual world for the design of a better world. Let me finish with just one sentence coming from a French philosopher, Georges Baladier. He says, it's our responsibility to civilize civilization we inherited from. So with this, thank you.